so many touch points the organization has, so many devices, so many applications, so many systems. If you start putting in security solutions for each of those, you have a sprawl of security solutions and you will not be able to manage the complexity. Therefore, what is essentially required is a centralized security management tool, which will help you manage, on the one hand, all the threats, so all the data loss threats, malware threats, downtime, all of that, and then look at the cost. So, a management system that, or tool that allows you to look at the implications on cost and advise you on what kind of security software or service appliances we can use to address that issue. And thirdly, compliance. Do you have a system that allows you to look at compliance along with malware and cost? And fourthly, and very importantly, to manage skills. Do you have a system as a security officer? Are you able to look at the security skills that you have in your organization? How to automate them? How to train and educate your employees on security? And finally, and last but certainly not the least of the priorities here, educate. A lot of these issues can be solved by educating your users. And so spend time to educate the business user as well as senior management on how to secure the data, how to secure systems, and how to access and use them. Thank you very much. I'm completely out of time. I don't know if you have any type of questions. Niraj, you think?
First of all, thank you for that. So many things.
All right.
Yeah, just if anyone has any question?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. It was very interesting. My question is relating to virtualization. You said in virtualization there are some security breaches. Will you be able to point out if it is Windows or is it AX? And if so, what is the percentages?
Well, I think we have some indication of that, but the problem is that virtualization, as we've seen in this call itself, it's about 20-25% of organizations which have really gone ahead and deployed some form of virtualization. So some of the data might not be what I would say would not have a larger base to be relevant, in the sense that you would need probably a larger base to actually compare. But yes, I mean, I can certainly look into that and maybe provide you specific inputs on that. And we're still just beginning to see organizations which have implemented virtualization over the last year or so. We're just beginning to see them face these challenges of security. But the thing is that virtualization is moving at such a fast pace that organizations are moving at such a fast pace in terms of their virtualization implementations that very soon they'll start facing these security challenges. So we're just beginning to see some of those things. I'll be happy to share with you some of the challenges in more detail at a Windows level, for example. Is it, or is it at a hypervisor level, or a VM level with Hyper-V stuff? We can have this discussion in more detail.
Is CIOs and
yes.
do some questionnaires for them or something?
Yeah. So how we do this, the CIO studies, is that we usually have face-to-face meetings with CIOs. The CIOs usually do not like to complete a given questionnaire. You have to engage with them. So we spend some time, discussing and it's based on that.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any further questions, I'll be around for a while. And otherwise, my coordinates are there, so you can get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker actually will be Chris Stewart. He's from the worldwide IBM national team, and he's going to talk about managing application security. Please welcome.
Chris Stewart, Worldwide Senior Alliance Manager, IBM Rational Security. Chris Stewart is Rational's WW Security Alliance Manager. Chris came to IBM via the Watchfire acquisition, where he managed all strategic partnerships and business development activities. At IBM, Chris works globally with customers, partners, and even within IBM to determine and develop application security strategies to match their needs. Chris also works with IBM Security Solutions and IBM X-Force as part of the cross-brand security strategy team.
is quite an introduction. So, again, my name is Chris Stewart. I'm with the IBM Rational Security team as of right now. But before I go any further, I want to point out, I'm sure some of you, I've been speaking with some of you, and you've heard some of the news around IBM creating a security systems group. Has anyone heard that news? Some people? Okay. If not, that's okay. January 1st, IBM is making a very, very big move and a big step in the world of security. We're taking all of our security pieces and moving them into a brand new software pillar, a software division called IBM Security Systems. So what that's going to mean for you, and based on what Ranjit was just talking about, is a consolidation of a great deal or a plethora of security skills, technology, leadership, etc., into one brand, which is obviously very exciting. And from a consumer perspective, what you're going to gain from that is incredible market intelligence, and also great thought leadership, where on one side we had technology professionals developing something that could benefit another technology over here, and what's going to happen is that a lot of that technology is going to merge and consolidate. So that's very exciting. So again, currently I'm with the Rational Application Security Group, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But starting very shortly, and again we can talk about this after the presentation, IBM is going very, very serious into the security space as a consolidated group. So actually, in case you didn't pick up on it before, I'm from Canada, so obviously I'm a long way from home, but very happy to be here simply because there was 8 inches of snow when I left Ottawa, and obviously we don't have that same concern here, so it's a very nice to be here, and I am enjoying the weather. So anyways, so today what I want to talk about is a few things, and it's all around application security. But let's start off with going through the agenda. So what we'd like to start with is, why should you as business professionals, security professionals, and technology executives care about application security? Let's set a foundation and understand what the actual landscape is around application security. If you've been working with IBM in the past, or you've seen in publications, IBM has a very strong corporate byline called the Smarter Planet. So Smarter Planet, is it secure? We'll discuss that as well. And then I think it's very important, and I've been speaking with some of you in advance of this session, to talk about, is that for me? Okay, that's no problem. The application security landscape globally. So what are customers doing, what are clients doing, what are organizations doing globally around going from start to finish or building an application security program within their organization? To do that, I think it's important to also understand how you as security professionals and IT professionals can leverage the great organization that you have. Again, there's challenges involved with that, but hopefully with some education, hopefully with some of the material that we get from here, we can hopefully help build that knowledge and that sort of a plan for you. And then, what does IBM do around application security? So at the tail end of the presentation, we'll talk about the technology that we've built, fostered, cared, nurtured, and built over the last, well, many years to make what we consider the greatest application security portfolio on the planet. Security has never been, historically anyways, important to development of applications. So our commerce applications, our ERP applications, it's always been build this, do it quickly, get it to market, start transacting. So shoddily coded, not really, but shoddily coded with respect to application security, absolutely. It's certainly not been top of mind with organizations historically, but over the last, I'd say, 3 years, we've seen quite a change in the environment, or the appetite for CISOs, CIOs, and organizations in general to ask themselves that question I asked you before: what is my application security strategy? So again, fastest growing threat category, and it has to do with web apps. Anyone here familiar with the IBM X-Force? Yeah, a couple, good. So one thing I'll urge after this presentation is that we get you a copy through StarLink, a copy of the 2011 half-year X-Force report. It's a very, very, very good technology read for security professionals to look at what's going on in the world today. So it's an aggregation of a lot of different data points coming into IBM through a research group. The IBM X-Force is probably considered one of the biggest and best research groups in the world purely for security intelligence. Now, where are they getting this data? There's a lot of advanced research. There's a lot of people in the labs that work. But one area where they get a lot of data is through their managed security service offering that sees, on average, every day between 9 to 12 billion events. Okay, so that's billion, not million, billion events per day. So with that type of a body of evidence, obviously they can identify trends, they can identify vulnerabilities, different mutations of vulnerabilities. So when they come out with these reports every 6 months, this is a great, what should I be concerned with right now as a security professional? What are the things that I need to shift in my priority scale based on what's going on in the world? Because in the interconnected world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be attacked from anywhere. And obviously through applications, that's obviously the key way. But one thing I'd like for you to notice on this particular slide is the green component on your left. This shows the amount of vulnerability disclosures through web applications that's happened over the last 12 years. Applications are a very, very appealing target. Web applications are a very appealing target for the bad people, simply because they're easy to get to. You know, an application in Dubai can be accessed from anywhere in the world, a banking application, an airline application, anything of that nature. It's a very appealing target to basically go after and attack. So there's a lot of information we can talk about, but I do urge you to take a look at the X-Force report. Over half the vulnerabilities that half the breaches that occurred in the last year were done via web app attack. So on one side, let's talk about the Smarter Planet. As a business person trying to get work documentation in line to travel to various countries in the world, that's a pretty interesting experience. That's a very, very good case study for the Smarter Planet. The environment I was in and whatnot. Now let's take a look at that as security professionals for a moment. I'm on vacation. I'm in a communist country. I'm logging in through a wireless network that I have absolutely no idea where it's going through and what it's going to, where the application is, where the data is residing. And from a security perspective, a personal security perspective, I don't know exactly where this data could be intercepted and the strength of the applications that I'm working with. So as we strive to build more utilities and more applications to enhance the customer experience, we must consider application security as something that's very important. The world is being driven by applications. As we all go back to our offices after this, we'll spend most of our day in front of our computers on web apps and websites doing things, and email and whatnot. So it's something important to consider. The other thing the final thing is around attack sophistication. Advanced persistent threat is something that is real, nation-state sponsored, or organized crime, or those types of things. The level of patience and professionalism that these organizations exhibit is quite frightening. So building strong security policies, and again, forget about application security for a moment, but application security is a piece of that. Things like Guardian, things like other technologies, building a strong layered approach to make life as difficult as you can for these organizations that are highly well-funded, highly skilled, and highly patient is very critical. When we look at the different potential stakeholders within an application as we produce it, we all work for Alturo Mutual Bank at this point in time. Everyone that's mentioned in this circle diagram has a vested interest in the application itself, whether it be building, whether it be an executive stakeholder, a business analyst to drive the actual revenue around that, the quality assurance manager who would test it, the architect who would create it. Everyone has a hand in making this a better application. And obviously security is a key component to this. So I had an interesting discussion with a CIO actually of a bank in, it was Switzerland again. And he had a very, I would say he was in the run phase of the crawl, walk, run application security sort of ladder. And I asked, so what drove you to this point? Or what, it's obviously very, very professional what you do is around application security. And his answer was good in that he's entrusted with having these applications up and running, driving business through them, making sure they're on budget, making sure they're on time. His answer was around security was that if that application, is transacting millions of euros, we're doing great business through it, the customers really like it, but if it's compromised and it goes down, that's also my fault. Sorry, that's also my fault. Let's build a strong policy. You have a security policy. Let's build an application security policy that's a cornerstone of that. Let's do that. Let's train your people, inspect your code, test the applications throughout the life cycle, and make it a process, make it a conveyor belt. Make it something that is operational, make it something that is easy for the organization to adopt. And again, ultimately when we're done or when it's implemented effectively across your enterprise, it's operational, it's business as usual, low disruption, low cost. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions?
Hi, Chris. My name is Mustafa Mahmoud. I actually wanted to ask about the, obviously IBM acquired Watchfire for the dynamic security testing portfolio, and they acquired Mouse Labs for their static security testing. What is the level of integration today that exists between both technologies? That's the first question.
Okay.
Second question is,
No, go ahead.
we see other vendors like HP after their acquisition of Fortify, and maybe other vendors like Checkmarx, Armorize, and so on, starting to offer on-demand security testing or security testing in the cloud. Is this something that IBM is offering today, or is it something that they do have on the roadmap?
Okay. Well, thank you for your questions. I couldn't have paid you to ask better questions, so thank you for that. So the integration is a great question. IBM identified AppScan, or Watchfire, sorry, as a global leader of dynamic testing, dynamic analysis, and we're very proud that we've maintained that level. In fact, we've increased it. We just released a new version, I believe 2 weeks ago, 8.5. Some incredibly exciting stuff in that, and I'll talk. It's relevant to your question. We determined shortly after we had a white box solution, AppScan DE, I think it was called at the time, a developer edition, but realized that there were better things out there. Ounce Labs was one of them. So we knew that organizations from a maturity model, again, going back to that diagram of testing late, what the AppScan technology or the black box technology is never going to go away. We're always going to need to test live applications as a hacker would see it. But the way that the world is changing, and again, I've seen this firsthand dealing with customers all around the world, people are nodding their heads saying we must start developing securely. And again, it's not intended to be a very intensive or disruptive process. It's something very modest that's almost, if done correctly, not noticed by the development groups. It's considered bugs. It's just something, don't put this kind of statement in. It's very, very modest. The integration between those, we have technologies that sit on top of that, AppScan Reporting Console and AppScan Enterprise, that take the data and can create a cookie crumb or a cookie trail from one end to the other. Now, most recently, and this is something that's incredible, is this glassbox technology that we have patent pending, where the dynamic agent is attacking an application, but there's a little static agent sitting on the actual application server, seeing the attacks come in, and then determining what the sinks and sources are of where it's going. So doing essentially a white box function. So there's a bit of a debate worldwide around white box, black box, or either or. It really should not be an either or discussion. It has to be a 1 + 1 = 3 type thing, if you will, because simply finding things at the code level will not get you to a secure application. Simply finding things from a dynamics level will not get you to a pure, it will not solve your problem. So there is a tight integration between them. There's a reconciliation engine. Again, you mentioned the AppScan Reporting Console and Enterprise that makes sense of that data and helps you determine what the priorities are. Correlation was introduced in our last version, 8.0, so that was over a year ago. So there's a great integration between that. Again, I'd be very happy to either show you or have someone show you that piece. The second piece was around the on-demand component. We do have an on-demand component. Primarily, the world is really accepting of dynamic testing in the cloud. Asking people to put their source code in a cloud environment or in a virtual environment to be tested virtually is not, people are not at that comfort zone yet. We don't think the industry or the world is there yet. We have a dynamic scan offering. It's provided by GTS. We also work with partners to provide dynamic managed security scanning, like a StarLink, to provide that level of third-party sort of ongoing managed security scanning. So there's multiple ways to do it. Yes, IBM does it, but we also do it through our partners. So again, sometimes you run into things like regional sensitivities. So if we had a data center in Texas, would you be comfortable having your data scanned across from Texas, or would you rather it in the region? So that's why we work a lot with partners around that particular thing. But again, the static analysis piece is interesting from a cloud perspective or from a managed security scanning perspective. We find that because of environmental issues and the sheer complexity of white box scanning, it's something that is not destined to be a booming success. And again, the comfort level of customers is very, very low at uploading the crown jewels into a cloud environment or into a virtual environment where they don't know where it's coming from. Does that answer your question?
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed from Ipswich, and thank you Mr. Chris for the interesting presentation and valuable information. Just one concern that some of the security applications that will do some inspection of the traffic and will inspect the packet that's going on, how this will affect the application performance itself?
Okay, that's a good question. So, so the testing that I'm referring to is in non-real time. So the application. So what you're asking is how will it affect the actual performance of the application? So when we think about the actual performance in runtime, so present day. So if you have let's say an application that's running and it's accepting traffic, where we see degradation of service is not around the technologies that I just spoke of, the actual scanning tools. Because what we do is we take the application offline, and this is very important, sorry in case I missed it. Try not to scan your applications in a live environment. Funny things can happen, okay? So make sure you do this in a mirrored environment and test the application there. So from a performance perspective, there isn't really anything that our tools do that slow down or degrade the performance. Other technologies that are necessary in a well-architected security framework, like say a web app firewall or an IPS or an IDS, that can throttle up what's acceptable traffic or what's not acceptable traffic. Sometimes we run into situations where we're speaking with someone about a web app firewall, and unfortunately it's been throttled too much, and obviously we see good traffic rejected, which is ultimately not what you want, I assume, based on your question. So from an app scan perspective, there is no effect, on that. It's basically essentially telling you where the application is particularly vulnerable. It's not, reducing the actual what's allowed through. That's good traffic. It's telling you where SQL injection, cross-site scripting, buffer overflows can occur. It's the inline devices that are doing application security activities where you need to be incredibly thorough and accurate with what you're doing. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, well thank you very much everyone. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, we go for break in 15 minutes, and then we go for...
Guardian, IDM, UK, Middle East, and Africa. Grayson Jenkins is an information security expert with more than 20 years of extensive experience and currently manages IBM's InfoSphere Guardian, regional sales function for the Middle East, Africa, Turkey, and the UK. Boasting a wide range of security skills, including database activity monitoring, identity and access management, vulnerability management, and security outsourcing, he has delivered information security services across a variety of industry sectors, including financial services, telecommunications, and the public sector. Mr. Jenkins has played a key role in bringing several leading security companies into the EMEA market, including Guardian, Korea, and Circuit, and Federal Systems Security Division.
Good afternoon and welcome back from the coffee break. I swear that the actual introductions are getting longer. It may actually be longer than the presentation shortly, but welcome back. My name's Grayson Jenkins. I'm with Guardian. I've been with Guardian for about 5 or 6 years, now part of the IBM suite of products as well. So a little bit of change of gear, I think, for this particular session. What I've been asked by StarLink, kindly asked by StarLink to do, is do a little bit of a deeper dive into the Guardian solution set. So what is it, what does it do, who's it aimed at, and how does it address some of the core regulations that people are looking at solving today as well. So in terms of the outline, agenda, I'll do a little bit on market positioning, a few slides on that, concentrate mostly on the actual solution. I'll talk a little bit about the IBM BVA, Business Value Assessment, and then I'll give you some quick snapshot onto the latest release of the product, some of the sort of key features that we've released as well now. Before I start, can I see anybody here implemented Guardian yet? Raise a hand, yeah. So there's a couple of you that have actually implemented it. Anybody looking at implementing it? Excellent. Right, we'll round you all up very, very quickly. So if you've got questions, it'd be great if you can actually wait till the end, and we can go through that sort of process then as well. So the market position. Interestingly enough, I'm sure you've seen this slide before, or slides that report to this. So this is a Verizon study. Database service, the primary source of breach data. So interesting, database servers, 92% of the data that's been breached. So it's not coming from a lot of the other applications or the other devices, should I say, that are out there. There is some, obviously, 8%, so Verizon is stating, but 92% of data being breached from the database servers directly. And 75% increase year on year. So that's a problem that's growing and growing. In terms of that data being breached, 85% of that is actually organised crime. I found this statistic quite interesting. So organised crime internally to the organisation, or indeed externally to the organisation. So people putting pressure on your DBAs or on your privileged users to actually get access to information that can be taken outside the company and sold. So I don't know if you've heard recently of the Verizon study, T-Mobile breach, where insiders actually took information, customer-based information, took it outside and sold it to one of their core competitors. So this sort of thing is happening all the time within